Jamaica Link family, I am pleased to just reflect this morning on our 20 years of existence. I want to pay a special tribute to some key people that have been part of the journey and part of the conversation. My mind goes back to Joan and Terry Penning from Michigan, Dennis Fields from North Carolina, and Harvest Baptist Church. These have been some key people in the conversation. It's a conversation that many leaders, pastors in Jamaica are having. I pastored in a rural church in Jamaica called Macfield Baptist Church. I had a big vision, very little provision, and a whole heap of frustration. So the conversation began with how do we make an impact on our society. This vision was shared with Harvest Baptist Church that came alongside and gave some provision for the vision. With recognizing that, we thought to ourselves, that's a way of solving the resource problem. We could forge some partnerships and coming together with persons who would be able to bring resources to national pastors who have great vision, not only pastors, but charitable leaders of charitable organizations. Because the need is great. As a matter of fact, I'm even a little embarrassed to say that Jamaica right now, while we have all of the wonderful sun, sea, and sand, Jamaica is actually the second poorest country in the English-speaking Caribbean. It doesn't look like that on the outset, but that's our reality. The gap between the haves and the have-not is just too wide, and it has created a lot of challenges, and it has mitigated against even the advancement of the effectiveness of the church. The way to be really effective is to bring together the good news and good works. And so in that conversation, Terry and his wife were a major part when we decided to move forward with the whole idea of Jamaica Link. One of the patterns, I should tell you that one of the patterns that we recognized in that when the missionaries would come to Jamaica back in the 80s and going down to the middle of the 90s, when the missionaries were here who had a network of resources, they did very well. But when they had to leave, then the resources left with them. So we were at a place of doing ministry without actually the kind of network of resources. And so that's why Jamaica Link was now formed in order now to build a new network that would help us now to actually speak to the provision for the vision of so many pastors and churches that has all kinds of frustration. And so when thinking back over the 20 years, we have done some things to this, but there's a lot more that needs to be done. We want to build a network of resources that will equip under-resourced churches and charities to help them maximize their impact. And so this has been our journey, and there's much ground to cover, but we have accomplished much over our 20 years journey. We are looking forward to actually have an event to celebrate this around the 13th of November, and I invite all of our friends who have been part of that network to come together as we reflect and give thanks to God for what He has done over these 20 years. Stay tuned for a lot more things that we would love to talk about. We are officially kicking off our campaign, and as you know, Jamaica Link Ministries, we're connecting people, we're facilitating ministry, and we are equipping leaders. We want to invite you and invite you to invite others into this conversation, because much has been done already, but there is much more ground to cover for the next 20 years as we go forward. Networking for good.